Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, and tonight we're going to go ahead and recap the newest episode of Roswell, New Mexico, episode 8, called Barely Breathing. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The episode starts out with Isabel having a little voiceover about not being able to control herself, and during this time you have all these scenes where it's pretty clear that Alex's dad has got surveillance footage on all three of the main characters. I guess he's put into it, he's figured out enough now to know that there's something up with the Evans twins and then Michael, and he's got surveillance on all of them. After the title card comes up, you've got the introduction of Max and Isabel's mother, who's played by Claudia Black, who a lot of people may know from the Stargate series. She was in that. She's been in some other stuff. She was actually on the originals as well, so there's another connection to that franchise of shows. And pretty much, I kind of felt like her character was a little wasted in this episode. I didn't really know what she was there for. She pretty much appears to be kind of a wealthy socialite who adopted children, and there's not a closeness there. She doesn't seem to have bonded at all with Max and Isabel. So I really was curious why her character was even in this episode. In her lab at the hospital, Liz is working pretty hard on a project she's fixing to present, and Kyle comes in there and he's really trying to figure out why they're still keeping Isabel. There's really no reason that she's there, and I guess maybe some questions are getting asked, and she basically tells him about the incident in 2008, which of course he knows means that she killed Rosa, and he instantly gets mad about this. Meanwhile, Isabel is in her room with her husband Noah, and he's kind of telling her he thinks she's better and he wants her to come home. Of course, she's reluctant. She can't really tell him why she's there, but she just kind of tells him to give her time and to talk to the doctor before she makes any plans about coming home. Back in the lab, Kyle is still ranting about the fact that Isabel was the one who killed Rosa, and Liz kind of shows him the serum that she's made, and she explains what it can do. That it can basically strip them of their powers, is what she is theorized. Elsewhere, you have a scene with Alex, and he goes to kind of confront his dad about everything that's been going on with the alien hunting, that kind of thing. And his dad, of course, says, he has no idea what he's talking about. And as he turns to go, Alex just whacks him with his cane and pretty much knocks him out. Kyle goes by to Isabel's room, and she's kind of in this trance-like state. She's very creepy looking, and he pretty much accuses her of killing Rosa, and then she basically, she just kind of confesses that she did, and again, she's acting all strange, and Kyle walks up to her and just whips out the serum that I guess he has taken from Liz's lab and just stabs her right in the chest with it. And this part actually kind of made me jump. I don't guess I was expecting this, but I was just kind of like, whoa. After that, we go to a really quick scene between Michael and Maria, and I like that they're still showing this pairing, this friendship, whatever the relationship is between them. I like that we're showing this, and it's pretty much just she's wanting him to repair a sign for her that she had at the bar. Of course, he's telling her he could just build her a new one, but she doesn't want a new one. She wants this one recreated. Max shows up right after this, and it was kind of funny. He just kind of looks at Michael, and he's like, just please tell me you're not sleeping with Maria. Of course, Michael's like, no, never. And I found this scene hilarious just from a perspective of a fan of the original Roswell. It just made me laugh. But after that, they kind of had this conversation about, where did their memories go? They were 7 when they came out of the pods, but they don't have any previous memory. And I guess they've never really talked about it either, because that's kind of like the only time they have mentioned it. And even Michael says something about, we just don't ever talk about this. Back at the hospital, Liz has arrived at Isabel's room, and they pretty much put together that Isabel influenced Kyle to do this to her, to stab her with the so-called cure. And she kind of confesses that that's what she did. And pretty much Liz is just like, text me if she exhibits any kind of symptoms or anything. Meanwhile, at some undisclosed location, Alex has his dad tied up, and he's basically breaking through the firewalls of his computers. It's really easy for him, and this definitely gave me vibes to his previous role on Pretty Little Liars as Caleb, who was like a master hacker. So I thought that was kind of funny. But he just kind of basically tells him, I can either hack through all your files or we can talk right now and you can tell me whatever. Now, after a quick scene at the hospital where Isabel basically realizes that her powers have been stripped, she can't use them, Michael takes off and he confronts Liz about this. And basically through the rest of the episode, you have a lot of scenes between Liz and Michael. And it kind of reminded me of the original series. I always liked when they paired those two up. I mean, I wasn't into them romantically or anything, but I did like how the actors played off each other and found it brought a new dynamic to the show. So I was kind of glad to see this because Liz and Michael in this series are actually pretty similar in terms of they're both science geeks and they both have this wealth of knowledge, so they kind of bond on that level to some degree. Isabel is so thrilled that her powers have been stripped of her that Noah is there with her and she's talking about let's get back to normal, and then kind of out of nowhere she's hit with an attack and she kind of starts coughing up blood. And then you have a little scene where Liz and Kyle are looking at her cells, and they basically realize that this serum is causing her cells to pretty much rot, so it's essentially killing her. Max does his best to try and heal Isabel, but I'm assuming maybe his powers are not going to work on another alien because nothing is happening. If anything, it's just making her worse. At Project Shepherd, where Alex has his dad tied up, Alex has finally gotten into the computer. And after they exchange a few words about, basically Alex's goal in this is to destroy the thing that his dad loves the most, he pulls up this file where it's clearly Michael, and it says something like threat level red or something like that. Anyways, he tells him that Michael has been linked to terroristic attacks. Michael ends up taking Liz back to his house where he kind of shows her his secret lab, which is like this bunker that's underneath his trailer. And it's where he's housed all his alien artifacts and everything like that. And she kind of puts it together that he's been trying to recreate the ship. This is where he tells Liz that he and Isabel were the ones responsible for influencing her decision to leave right after Rosa died. And, he did that all for Max, and he tells her, Max was a wreck because of the grief, and he couldn't risk that being an option of Max telling Liz. Michael and Liz basically kind of come up with an idea that it's possible maybe to put Isabel back into one of the stasis pods that they came out of to preserve her. So they end up going to the mine where the pods are at to try to get some, try to figure out how to make this possible. Liz realizes that the pods react to silver. That's how they can actually get into them. And so she starts taking off all of her jewelry to melt down all the silver, because apparently she has like practically a silver mine worth of jewelry. This part kind of made me laugh when you finally see just how much silver she had, or how much when it melts down, how much there is. So I'm just like, what all did she have on? Back at Project Shepherd, Alex has figured out that his father has pretty much been the military ceased all operations of this project years ago, but his father has still been covertly doing it using his own money to fund this. So he pretty much blackmails him at this point, and he tells him, you're either going to leave town right now, or I'm going to tell the army about this. They'll discharge you dishonorably. So that's pretty much your options there. Back at the pod chamber, Max and Michael have went and got Isabel, and they're preparing to put her back into one of the pods. Now, Liz has come up with this formula, and they basically just kind of, they rub Isabel down in this, or Isabel does it herself. She coats herself in the silver mixture, and that's how she's actually going to get back into the pod. So hopefully it will. I don't know if it's going to heal her, but they think this is the best way to keep her contained without, so she does not deteriorate anymore. And there's some line between Max and Michael about, them not having their memories when they came out of this before. And Isabel tells them, please remind me and, tell me everything if that's the case when I come out. After they get Isabel back into the pod, Max and Liz share a quick little scene where she basically tells him that she kind of forgives Isabel for, at least influencing her to leave town. She doesn't have any regrets. She saw the world. Well, she saw the United States, I guess. She saw that during that summer, and she also says, besides me and you, we weren't meant to be. And I guess if she's alluding to the fact that if she'd stayed there, something might have happened between them. And this, again, it's just another roadblock in their relationship. They're really stretching this one out a lot more than the original Roswell did. After this, we see where Alex's dad is getting ready to leave town. He meets up with Cameron and he tells her he's leaving for a little while, but he still needs her to be his eyes and ears. And he threatens her yet again, talking about her sister. And he's just like, remember, with one call, I can have her move back to maximum security. So Cameron is forced to just kind of go with it. And she says, of course, she'll continue to still check out what's going on. And he tells her, he says, I also need you to look into my son. So I guess he's going to try to find dirt on Alex to sort of get back to where, because right now they're blackmailing each other. And I figure he's wanting to try to one-up him. Father of the year there. And to close out the episode, you have a scene where Michael takes the rebuilt sign back to Maria. And it's just a cute little scene between them. And I really like that they're continuing these. And she pretty much just says, I wanted this sign because it's a beacon for her own mother, to where if she gets lost, she can find her way home. And I think that kind of clicks something within Michael's head, because he's thinking about the symbol that's always been drawn, the one that Max has a tattoo of, and he says something about it being a beacon. Now, after this, the final scene of the episode is just Max going back to his house, and his mother's still there, and they have this little scene. But again, I felt like she was pretty much pointless in the episode. But he ends up crying to her, and he's just, everything that's happened with Isabel has just taken a toll on him. Of course, she's still oblivious to what's going on with Isabel. She thinks she's still basically in the mental ward, but of course, he doesn't tell her this, and pretty much that's how they end the episode right there. So overall, another solid episode. I am getting a little worried because, here we are 8 episodes in, and all these other shows are getting picked up for another season on the CW, and there's still been no word about Roswell. I haven't heard anything else about like it's doing really bad in the ratings or on the other hand that it's doing just fantastic. When the series premiered, there was a thing about how it got some of the best ratings that the network had seen for a premiere. But after that, you really haven't heard much. So I'm getting a little nervous about a season 2. Honestly, in my head, I'm pretty confident that there's going to be a season 2. But at this point, they're still not saying anything. And I don't know. I think they're going to kind of make us wait. It's kind of giving me deja vu back to the old Roswell days when we never knew from one season to the next if it was going to make it. And everyone had to, really rally together. I don't know if the fan base for this, the reboot is as massive, so I don't know. We may be in for some trouble here. But again, I could just be being too over dramatic. I don't know. Hopefully it gets another season, because I really want this to at least get a couple seasons in. I like the show. I want it to thrive, and I really want to figure out more of the mystery. They were really going really quickly there for a while as far as on the mystery, and now I feel like they've slowed a little bit. So I don't want this series to end without us finding out what really happened. But anyways, I'm just going to leave this one here. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, all of those things that YouTubers tell you to do. And I will see you back in the next one. Have a good day, guys.